What's going on? I'm going to give you some stories from TraxNews.org, right? We've got our Trax News organization for the people, by the people. We've got a lot of stuff happening here that is provided by you guys, and I'm going to do some of the top stories. But this one's from the New York Post. We're going to get to the Trax News stories as well. This cop got bail, $750,000 by using crowd funding. Now, he was complicit in the murder of George Floyd, but he wasn't the Chauvin guy who kneeled on his neck. Listen, he was in his 4th day training. Now, a perfect person would have said to this guy Chauvin and would have knocked him off George Floyd and said, you can't do this and this and that. But, you know, he was in training. He didn't know what to do, and neither did these other guys. So before you throw stones at them, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that aren't perfect people, and you got to give this guy somewhat of a break. You don't want to sit here and drag him into this murder. My personal opinion, it's controversial to say, but if I'm in some training program and some guy, you know, does something, you know, I don't want to be responsible for it. He was just trying to get a job, becoming a cop. Maybe he's a racist asshole. Maybe he's not. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. You don't really know. We can't just sit here and drag everybody's life down the wood chipper along with this Chauvin piece of shit. Chauvin, you could, you know what I'm saying, toss off a building if you want. I don't really care about him. This guy and those other two dudes, wrong place, wrong time. You know, if they would have had a different training officer, maybe they would have been perfect cops for the rest of their lives. You don't know. You got to be a fair human being, right? Just like Jesus said, he without sin cast the first stone. You know, if you think that you're better than all these other people and you want to cast the first stone, go ahead. So they're reopening up schools or they're going to be planning to reopen up schools in Florida, which is interesting because the coronavirus cases just spiked over there. We're not done with this coronavirus shit. The world is still going to be in turmoil. We're still going to be battling it. We just came out of the lockdown. The saga continues. The battle continues. Nobody wants to wear masks in America. Right now, we're not wearing masks here in the Diamond District because we're being lazy, okay? You know, I mean, the thing is we have our masks. I mean, my mask is right over here. Just get off the Trax News scene. These guys are wearing masks, but I have my mask. But, you know, we want to take a break. I want to breathe some fucking air at the same time. But the risk is low. We're not in the subway not wearing masks, but we should be. And when the cases start going up, we will be wearing masks all the time. But that's just the way I'm doing it because the masks do a big deal. And if he wants to open up schools, we'll see how that goes. You know, there's a reality with this virus. There's a reality why they closed it to begin with. Believe me, I don't want to close the economy, but if we have to, we have to. So Trax News for the people, by the people. This was a cool story. We'll get to it in a second. I don't know if the shootings are up here in New York City, but 7 people shot over a 10-minute span in 3 separate shootings in Brooklyn. It's getting hot out here at summertime. Tensions are high for everybody. The money situation is tough for everybody. So, and you want to defund the police? It's all bullshit. Nobody really wants to defund the police. That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. People are going to be raping and killing with impunity. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You want to defund the police, it's going to be just a wild, wild west. Everyone has to have a gun, and people are going to be shot. 10% of the population would be dead within a year. You don't want to defund the police. That's really the end of that. So if you want to do that, I'm ready. I'm a good shot. I'll get a vest, a helmet, gauntlets, and you know what I'm saying? And we could play Call of Duty in the streets all we want. I don't care. I don't have any kids. But if you want to do that, you know, go ahead. New Title 9 regulation give expanded rights to those accused of sexual assault on campus. So, you know, this is, I guess I was told Trump's doing, right? This is Trump's idea. So, basically what's happening is it's harder to accuse somebody of sexual assault. That's going to be good for some people, bad for others. You got to have concrete evidence. But I don't want somebody, you know, if I was on campus and, you know, I asked a girl out on a date and she said no and she ran because she's crazy to accuse me of sexual assault or something like that, and then I have to battle it out for the rest of my life. That's not fair for people either. There's a lot of crazy women. There's a lot of crazy men. Where's the fine line to draw? I don't know. That's my personal opinion. You could annotate yours however you want, wherever you want. Zoom. Okay, Zoom is doing something disgusting. The people from Tiananmen Square. Wait, well, first and foremost, there's an app that's better than Zoom. Google Meet is way more advanced. It's much better. If you own the Zoom stock, sell it. It's not going to last for a long time. Zoom says free users won't get end-to-end encryption, so FBI and police can access calls. So you might be doing a Zoom meeting and the feds are there, and that's good for child trafficking or whatever's going on that end. Not so good for some other people, but I don't need to hide anything from the FBI in a Zoom meeting, so I don't really care. But then on the other hand, Zoom is in some other nonsense. Zoom blocks activists after Tiananmen Square vigil. So the original people from Tiananmen Square back in 1989 that were massacred, they were trying to get democratic reforms in China. And those democratic reforms got gunned down and tanked down, and I don't know how many people died and were beaten over there. And they're trying to have a Zoom meeting, and China forces Zoom to block them and cancel the meeting and take it off of line. China is twisting the arms of everybody. I mean, you look how many cameras they got. Cameras everywhere and anywhere. China's a super surveilled state. They want the absolute power and authority over their people. It's going to be a bigger and bigger nightmare to live there unless you're rich. So they're going to revolt eventually at some point in time. They want democracy. They deserve democracy. And, the corporations, they get so much money out of China, they have to bend their will to China. China picks up the phone and says, we're going to ban you from China if you don't do A, B, and C. And you ask yourself, well, am I going to do that? Like, I have a website, traxnyc.com, sells gold chains. We don't sell a lot to China, but if we did, and, I had 100,000, 200,000 in sales a month or a day perhaps to China, and China called me and said, if you don't, take off this Buddha pendant or something like that, we're going to cancel it. I'd have to cancel some of the things that they want. Because, if you have employees that are working, you can't lose a 20% or 40% of your market share. But on the other hand, if it's when it comes to human rights, you draw a line in the sand. So I don't know what to tell you about that. 4 likeliest states to legalize marijuana in November. New Jersey, can't wait. Arizona, good for you. Mississippi, that's a good one. South Dakota, great. It should have been all of the states already. This just shows you how defrauded our economy and our government is. It takes forever to make an obvious change. It's a fraud. And the feel-good story of the week. This fine young dog right here was